Alright guys, welcome to this page of the notes, and hopefully you recognize these problems from what we did back in Chapter 2, Section 7. I had you do quite a few of these, and we're just going to practice it a little bit more because I'll ask you to do it again. And that's where I give you the graph of a parabola, and I ask you to identify what the equation for that quadratic would be, of course, in vertex form. Now, there's two ways to do this, and I'll show you which one, or I'll show you both of them, and you just use whichever one you feel more comfortable with. Quickly notice right here that in the graph I have given you a couple of points. First, I've given you the vertex, and I have given you some other point on the parabola, in this case a -1 and a -2. Well, here's what I've done for you. I have given you the vertex 3, 2, which of course represents HK. And I have given you a point on the parabola, this case a -1, -2, which of course just represents an X and a Y value. Now, why did I give you that stuff? Well, here's the reason I gave you that stuff. We know that in vertex form, y equals a times x plus or minus h squared plus or minus k. Well, in order to get it into vertex form, we're just going to use the information that I was given in the problem. For h, I'll plug in, we got to remember h is the opposite, right? Since h is at a +3, in my equation in vertex form, it'd have to be a -3, right? Because h is the opposite. So I'll plug in a -3 for h. I'll plug in a 2 for k. I'll plug a -1 in for x and a -2 in for y. So let me go ahead and do that. -2 is equal to a times a -1 minus 3 squared minus 2. Well, when I plug in my h, my k, my x, and my y value, which comes straight from the graph I gave you, the only thing in this equation now that I don't know is a. So solve for a. -2 is equal to a times a -4 squared minus 2. -4 squared would be 16, so -2 is equal to 16a minus 2. Let's go ahead and add sorry, I apologize. I don't know how I goofed that up. Sorry, my k is not a -2. I apologize. My k is a +2. Just change those to +2s, +2s, +2s. So sorry, right? I shifted up 2 units, which means k is positive. So +2, +2. Now I move it to the other side by subtracting 2. That's going to give me a -4 is equal to 16a. I want to get the a by itself, so I'll divide the 16 to the other side, and a is equal to a -4 over 16, which is a -1/4. All right, well, here's my equation. Y equals, I now know that a is a -1/4, so minus 1/4. X, I know that my h is a -3, and I know that my k is a +2. And all I have to do is find the answer choice that matches that, which of course is going to be this one. And I have my equation. Now, here's another way that you could do this. Here's what you know. If I were to graph this guy, I know, right, that I have shifted the parent function goes through the origin. So my graph has been shifted 3 units to the right, which means my h would have to be a -3. -3, -3, -3, -3. So I can't eliminate anybody. I know that my function has been shifted 2 units up, which means my k has to be a +2. +2, +2, -2, -2. So I can eliminate those answer choices because I know that the k isn't the right value. It should be a +2 and both of those have a negative 2. What that does is that leaves me then with either an a of a negative 4 or a of minus 1/4. Well, remember what a does. A both reflects the graph across the x-axis, and a does a vertical stretch or a vertical compression. So what would the graph look like if a were a positive 1? Well, that graph would look like that guy right there in yellow. So what did I do to get the graph that I was given? Well, since my parabola is wider, that's a vertical compression. And we know in order to do a vertical compression, the value of a has to be a fraction. That eliminates answer choice A and leaves me with the only reasonable possibility of the equation being b. Right? So you could do it either way, just by looking at the graph you were giving, eliminating the answer choices that can't possibly be right, and being left with the only option, or just go ahead and do the algebra, and you'll get the correct answer. So let's do it again down here. All right, you have been given a graph, and let's go ahead and see if we can eliminate the obvious mistakes. It looks like my vertex is at -1, which means h has to be a positive 1. And my vertex has been shifted down to what is a -2, so k has to be equal to a -2. So let's go ahead and eliminate the ones that don't work. I know my k needs to be a -2, and I have a +2 and a +2, so those ones can't be the right answer. My h has to be a positive 1, so positive 1 and positive 1, -2, -2. So both of these are possibilities, and now my options come down to, all right, which one's the right one based on A? This one, 5/3. Well, 5/3 is going to be a number less than 1, right? 3 divided by 5, because 5 is bigger than 3, I'm going to wind up with a decimal, a number that's less than 1. But 5 divided by 3, well, because 3 is smaller than 5, I'm actually going to wind up with something greater than 1. It'll still be a decimal, but it'll be a decimal greater than 1. So here's what's going to happen. This guy is going to be a number less than 1, which would be a vertical compression. This is going to be a number greater than 1, which would be a vertical stretch, right? So this one is going to narrow, and this one is going to widen. All I need to do is figure out which one I've got. Well, if I were to go ahead and do that, it looks like I would be there, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, right about there. Let's see if I went 1, 2, 3. All right, so it looks like I am definitely my graph with if A were equal to 1, my graph would actually be on the outside, right? It would be a little wider than what I was actually given, which means the graph you've been given has been vertically stretched. It's been narrowed, and I believe that this is going to be the correct answer. Now, I can confirm that by doing all of the algebra that we did above, and if you were to do that algebra, and feel free to do it, you absolutely, you know what, let's do it. Let's do the algebra. We might as well do another one. It's y equals a times x plus or minus h squared plus or minus k. It's easy enough to do. Let's see, my y value is 13. A, I don't know. My x value is a minus 4. My h is a positive 1. And my k is a negative 2. That's going to be 13 is equal to A. Let's see, I'm going to have a minus 3, which I'll square, minus 2, which means I have 13 is equal to 9A minus 2. Add the 2 to the other side, I get 15 is equal to 9a, which means a is equal to 15 divided by 9, which reduces to 5/3. So y equals 5/3, because that's my a value, times x. My h is a positive 1 plus 1 squared. My k is a minus 2. I'm looking for that equation, which is, look at that, it's the one we picked. Right, so either way, just by observing or taking a close inspection of the graph that you were given, you can eliminate the answer choices that aren't correct and be left with the only reasonable option. Or you could just simply quickly do the algebra, get the one that you're looking for, and then just match it to the correct one. Anyway, we'll try a couple more of these because they're a lot of fun, so head on over to the next page of the notes and I'll meet you guys over there.